we eat right before we go to sleep, what are we doing all night long? We're digesting food, which means we're not actually really resting. Every single time I fast, I feel so much energy. Just overall, I'm a glowing, energetic, vibrant person. And there's actually so many different ways that you can fast. When we are not eating, we are not digesting, which means we are actually giving our body a break and a chance to heal whatever it's dealing with. Animal, for instance, when they're not feeling well, what do? They stop eating and drinking. When you're breaking fast, no matter if it's a water fast, a juice fast, an all fruit fast, or breakfast, you need to be breaking fast with fruit. Somebody who wants to dive into juice fasting or water fasting or even dry fasting, you need to make sure that your body is prepared. I wanted to talk today about fasting. People don't look at that often or often enough. If you look at pretty much any religion, any culture, any species of animals, all of us have some form of fasting within just our life, our lifestyle. If you take an animal, for instance, when they're not feeling well, what do? They stop eating and drinking. It is a key factor, fasting is, to help our bodies take a break so that we can begin a healing process. If we are not feeling happy or if we're upset about something emotionally, oftentimes we lose our appetite. And there's actually so many different ways that you can fast, and there's so many different ways that you need to prepare your body physically and mentally in order to start the fasting process. So fasting, I feel like, was a huge component of my actual healing journey and the journey that I'm on, simply because I do a mix of intermittent fasting. I do a mix of juice fasting, dry fasting. I don't really have a water fasting practice, but I have done water fasts before in the past. Every single time I fast, I feel so much energy. I lose a ton of water weight. I feel overall happier. I lose all of my cravings for like stuff that I'm not supposed to be eating. My skin looks great. I just overall am a glowing, energetic, vibrant person. Not only with fasting are you going to get all the things that I just mentioned, but also something I think people don't really realize about fasting is that when we are not eating, we are not digesting, which means we are actually giving our body a break and a chance to heal whatever it's dealing with. So if you're having some kind of struggle, if you have some kind of symptom of a disease, or if you've struggled in the past with any certain physical part of your body, when we fast, we give our body a break. We do not need to be digesting food all of the time. People think that if you go a day or two without food, that it's absolutely horrible, and it's actually the opposite. It's so necessary and it's so needed. You can go weeks without eating, actually. There are people out there that are breatharian, and they actually don't eat. I don't condone that. I don't know much about it, but skipping a few meals, skipping a few days of eating is actually super great for our health. With my personal protocols, I actually do practice some form of intermittent fasting. So I'm only eating during a certain chunk of the day. And there's several reasons why I do that. First of all, when we wake up, our bodies are not supposed to just immediately be ready to start digestion. We are still like getting things moving, getting things operating again from being asleep for 12 hours or 8 hours, however long. And so as soon as we wake up, we do not need to go stuff stuff in our mouth in order to just kickstart this digestion process. It's going to be best for you to wait a couple of hours to start eating. And with breakfast, which ironically is the words break fast, the most important meal of the day is what we've been told. And so many people have it so wrong with what they're putting in their bodies for this most important meal of the day. When you're breaking fast, no matter if it's a water fast, a juice fast, an all fruit fast, or breakfast, you need to be breaking fast with fruit. Do not put a whole bunch of carbs and meat into your body first thing as like the first meal of the day, because your body is going to have trouble digesting that stuff. We need to be eating stuff that is very simple and easy to digest, which is fruits, because they're primarily water. So whenever you're diving into any sort of fasting, intermittent fasting is a really great way to start, which is not eating right early in the morning and also not eating really late at night. Something a lot of people don't realize because it's just embedded in our culture is that we don't need to be eating a late meal. Whenever we go to sleep, we should be resting. And if we eat right before we go to sleep, or if we're eating a couple hours before we go to sleep, what are we doing all night long? We're digesting food, which means we're not actually really resting. So this whole concept of having 3 meals a day, we need to eat dinner, that's just a society programming thing, and it's actually not good for our health. People that are having a hard time with digestion or people that are not sleeping through the night, it could be because you are eating too late. So that's kind of the first thing to dive into is some form of intermittent fasting, not eating all day, being careful about what you eat for your break fast, and making sure that it's something that's easy to digest. The next form of fasting that you can get into is possibly like a fruit fast or a fruit and veggie fast and adding juices to it. That is a really great way to give your body a break by eating stuff that is easy to digest, which would be your fruits and veggies, and doing juices. You're still getting nutrients, you're still consuming something to eat, so it's a little bit easier for people. But you're not consuming stuff that is just really hard to digest, whether it be meat or dairy or grains, whatever. Eating something that is primarily water is going to be so much easier for your body to digest. So if you're going to start with intermittent fasting, then transition into doing fruit and veggie and juice fasting together as one, so you're still eating something, the next step after that would be possibly diving into a juice fast. So if you've prepared your body correctly for any of these fasts, which is eating fruits and veggies leading up to a fast, diving into juice fasting is actually not hard. If you're somebody who goes from eating meat and carbs and dairy and then try to do a juice fast or a water fast, it's going to be so hard and it's going to be miserable and you're going to feel horrible. So I highly suggest that if you're somebody who wants to dive into juice fasting or water fasting or even dry fasting, you need to make sure that your body is prepared for that process by doing a fruit or veggie fast before you start. So once you get into that juice fast, this is an amazing way to get your body in a healing mode, and to feel better, look better, all of that, because your body is still getting tons of nutrients without having to digest any of the fibers, any of the food. It's just getting pure nutrients. So juice fasting can be extremely powerful. It's actually really, really easy. I've heard of people going on juice fast for 3 years at a time. It's very, very possible to do that. The next thing after that, if you're going to continue on with some sort of fasting, is water fasting. Now, I personally don't have water fasting in my everyday protocol, but I have done water fasts before. I've done 2 5-day water fasts in the past, and it was the same thing that I experienced from the juice fasting. I just looked amazing. I lost all of this excess water weight. I had so much energy. I felt so clear-headed. So water fasting is another thing. If you want to look into the benefits of juice fasting versus water fasting, I highly suggest. But again, with your water fast, you want to make sure that your body has been prepared before you just jump into that. It's absolutely necessary. I have heard of people that actually messed up some things within their body from going from doing a water fast to eating like potatoes after. It's extremely important to go into a fast and exit a fast with the right eating, which would be fruits and veggies. Now, the next form of fasting, which is like super, super healing, is dry fasting, which actually means dry fasting. You're not eating and you're not drinking anything for an extended period of time. Now, I personally only do 24 hours to 36 hours of dry fasting, basically once every 10 days. but I have heard of people that have done like 30-day dry fast, 11-day dry fast, which is absolutely crazy. But there is so much healing to just not eating or drinking. If you look at animals, if you look at our human bodies when we're sad or we're sick, same with animals, they choose not to eat or drink anything. And it's the fastest way for our bodies to catch a break and start attacking whatever area of our body needs healing. So dry fasting can be extremely powerful. You just have to be prepared for it, not only physically, but also mentally. I think fasting is actually a really interesting experience, not only with your physical body and just experiencing like healing processes, experiencing like watching your body change, and also like your mindset, your energy, all of that change. But also this has really been a true spiritual experience for me as well, because with eating and changing your habits, especially with things that are not of like this standard like way to do things, it really tests your mental, because you have to be so strong to know that these decisions that you're making are actually good for your health. And regardless if people try to peer pressure you into just take a cheat meal, or oh, just start tomorrow, you have to be so strong mentally to know that you're doing what's best for you. You have to also know that when you're feeling not so great, that this is actually just a part of the process. This is a part of the healing journey. And when we get like detox symptoms, and that's something else super spiritual that people just don't realize, it equates to everything in life. That if we're going through something that is difficult, or if we're experiencing some type of like growing opportunity, oftentimes doesn't feel great. So it's the same thing with fasting. You could be going through a healing crisis or a detoxing moment or hour or day, and it might not be super pleasant, but you just have to stick through it and know that it's going to be worth it on the back end. Also spiritually, I found that fasting has also just allowed me to find so much love for myself, and know that like I'm choosing to do something that is maybe not for everyone, but I know that it's good for my health, and this is what's right for me. So fasting, changing my eating habits, detoxing, it has not only been a huge physical healing opportunity for me, but it also has been a healing opportunity for me spiritually, to just be able to pour into myself and have so much love and compassion for myself throughout this process has been super, super important for me on my healing journey, physically and mentally. So I wanted to dive into like these couple of just different things to think about whenever you're fasting. There's so many different ways that you can get into fasting. I definitely don't suggest going from like eating a standard American diet with carbs, meat, dairy, veggies, all of that, and then just jumping into water fasting or jumping into dry fasting. I absolutely don't recommend that. And vice versa, whenever you're getting off of a fast, you can't just dive back into that. You need to go with it at ease and with intention. So I am so excited to be continuing to share all of my wellness, detoxing, spirituality, mindset, all of these different things that I've been diving into, because they have been a game changer for me physically and mentally. So stay tuned to my channel. Let me know in the comments anything else that you're interested in learning about. I do work with people one-on-one and in group settings, and I also am coming out with wellness programs for mindset and also detoxing. Let's get our bodies and our minds like detoxed and just healing and beautiful. So I just wanted to do this video for you guys as we jump into fasting and all of the benefits of it, and exactly just different ways that you can get into it without just absolutely being terrible. So definitely, please let me know if you do any type of fasting. Please let me know. I'm excited to hear you guys' experience, and we'll talk soon.